Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And today I'll be reading a multi-character theater by me, so let's get into it. Child. Child would be enraged to know that anything happened to you. He would be going crazy, and I mean it. He'd literally be insane. He would be raging at everyone around him until he found you. And I mean it. He won't stop looking for you. You were his most important thing in the world, and he couldn't afford losing you or anything bad happening to you. And that was why Child does absolutely everything he could just to find you as soon as possible. And when he does, whoever just took you we're probably going to run away, because otherwise they'd be wishing for death. Meanwhile, Child just tries to make sure you're alright, checks you for injuries, and when he's done, he picks you up in his arms, holding you close like you were the most precious treasure in the world, as he walks back home with you, finally glad that you're back in his arms, safe and sound. And internally, he promises that nothing like this will ever happen to you again. Albedo, if Child went crazy when you were kidnapped, then Albedo sure was going to be something else entirely. And I don't mean this in a good way. No, he'd be analyzing everything around him, trying to find you, and he won't stop until he does so. Nothing in the world can get him to calm down. But the thing about Albedo is that he gets to you faster. And the only reason for that is that he's more collected, even as worried and scared and mad as he is. He keeps his emotions under control because his priority was getting to you. So he looks for clues and makes his own deductions just to find you as fast as possible. And whatever enemies stood there, they were going to be no match for him. After all, he did see what happened to Clone Beto, and Albedo would not hesitate to do something like that again, especially not if your life was at stake. He would do anything to save you and make sure you're safe and alright, even if it meant doing something that seemed pretty unlikely of him. Venti. Venti was found it terribly easy to find you, and the only reason your kidnapper didn't know this is because he didn't know he was an Archon in the first place. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have pressed this. But it was done, and far too late for them to turn back now. And Venti only took a few hours to find you, and once he was at your base, he just knocked out the kidnapper, telling the Valen to deal with him as he sees fit. And then, he took you back home, making sure you're alright and safe and healthy, and trying to check you for injuries. Thankfully, he was fast enough and there were none, so he just spent time with you. Of course, he still mandated the to rest. And during these times, Venti was acting the most mature you've ever seen him. It was also during these times that he knew just how worried and scared he was about you getting hurt. It made you really happy, just how much he loved you and how much he cared about you. And for that reason, you will do your best to take care of yourself. Meanwhile, Venti just promised himself to do better at protecting you. Kazuha. Kazuha is actually just very terrified of what could happen to you, and he feels immensely guilty because it could be someone who's targeting him and wants revenge. But thankfully, the wind leads him to your way. And within just 2 days, he sounds you. Of course, a lot of soldiers from the Meleth and also Bedo's team and Bedo herself have come to help. And thankfully, the task of rescuing you from your kidnappers wasn't a big deal. And Kaza just focused on getting you away from there and to safety, calling you close and apologizing, telling you that he couldn't have lived with himself if anything happened to you. and that he's just glad that you're safe now. Kaza didn't sleep for 2 days after, just constantly watching you and worried about you. But he's so glad that deep inside, nothing happened and that you're okay. He's also glad that you were not traumatized or anything, and that asshole of a kidnapper was jailed. And he knew that for sure, Ningwang and Beidou will give him what he deserves. Scaramouche. Oh, Scaramouche was actually probably the angriest one when this happened, but he was also eerily quiet. Maybe people would expect him to be more vocal about his anger, but no. He's just so eerie and scary in the way he behaves, more than what he does. And once he's found you, all of that disappears. All that anger and hatred, and all this rage inside of him, it melts down. Of course, when he sees your kidnapper, it all rises up again, and he destroys them in seconds. But right now, when you were in his arms, all that mattered was having you, and the fact that you're safe and sound. That was always and will always be what came first to Scaramouche. No matter what else changed in his life, because his love for you would always be a constant that nothing in the world could change. Xiao. Xiao would be really angry but also really quiet. But he wouldn't want anyone come close to him at all. And the only one he allows is Charlie because he knows you'll help him. Other than that, Xiao's going crazy just looking for you everywhere he can. And once he finally finds you, he takes care of your kidnappers first. And the only reason he doesn't kill them is because Charlie told him not to. He wanted to see their motives first, and then they would decide what to do. And after that, Xiao just held you and refused to do anything else. He refused to think about the kidnappers or whatever duty he had to do. Because right now, you're finally back to him again. And he didn't care about anything else in the world as long as he had you. He was scared, terrified that he would lose you. And now that he has you back, he wasn't going to trade any moment with you for anything else in the world. Especially now that you needed him most to recover. And later on, he would do it just a lot more to protect you and make sure you're safe.